right, checking the sound, guys. Checking the sound. What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the live stream. Happy Monday. Hope you guys are feeling good, looking good, sounding good. Hope you're feeling well. And I hope you are making good, extreme gains right now, because Bitcoin has surpassed brand new all-time high. We had ETH going over 4K. We had a lot of these altcoins doing some damage on the charts, and we're going to analyze it. We are going to get into what Michael Saylor does every Monday. He starts to hold on just a second. Before he sips his coffee and looks out onto the veranda on his mega property, he buys a little Bitcoin. And so it's just a common theme. Like every Monday, it's always like we have Michael Saylor as our flag carrier for the entire crypto space, because as long as Bitcoin is doing well and it doesn't crash to the 90s again, it's crazy. We're going to think that a crash is going to the 90s, and it didn't even seem that long ago, and it really wasn't, that we were complaining about 69K. Do you guys remember that? Or is that just like far distant news? But that's just how we are in crypto. So now that we're in past 100K, we're like, oh, it's just it's so funny. But everything is relative in the market structure that you're in. But guys, just remember that the market structure is going to be changing, because we have all of this talk of the Bitcoin strategic reserves being set up in not just the United States on day one when Trump goes into office, January 20th. It's other countries as well. And so we're going to get into that. We're going to get into how that can actually get Bitcoin's market cap to gold, but actually maybe even surpassing gold, because we'll show you a chart that, now gold is actually starting to lose some of its value. It's starting to lose some of its market cap, and it could be downtrending because people are going to be pivoting and saying, hey, I'm starting to understand Bitcoin, and if they're holding heavy gold, they might actually be starting to pivot and selling that into fiat cash, and then actually using that to then purchase Bitcoin. So we might be seeing that playing out in real time. And so we're going to be breaking that down. We're going to analyze a couple things. We're going to show you guys the charts. But first, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ding the bell to be notified when I go live, so you guys can get this content immediately. Ding to your phone. All right, so we are going to show you guys some of the details, kind of just breaking down, if even just 4 countries added Bitcoin to the strategic reserve, could potentially increase Bitcoin's market cap to approach gold's. And so it's the increased demand. So the sovereign wealth is a key factor. So if 4 nations decide to add Bitcoin to a strategic reserve, which we have some news of right now, it is Japan. I was trying to think. Yeah, Japanese lawmaker makes push for a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and CZ said, it's probably nothing. And then on December 10th, he posted and reposted, Russian lawmaker proposes strategic Bitcoin reserve. So it's almost like now that everyone is starting to realize, okay, they're actually serious about this, and if they've been paying attention to El Salvador and Argentina, and Bhutan acquiring Bitcoin, and then have seen what other countries have done when they've been irresponsible, kind of like Germany, where they sold Bitcoin and really missed out on a $7 billion opportunity. It just shows that if you look and see what other countries are doing and how it's actually going to save them from what they know is the inevitable fiat destruction, and a better store of value and strategic priced in value for a means of a reserve. Because when you think about how the fiat is, it was so interesting when I thought about how when you think about the dollar, you don't really think about what the market cap is of the dollar. You're like, okay, I have $1, and when I put them together, I can make maybe $23, and then I can buy said thing that's priced in for being $23. But you're not ever thinking that okay, well, the supply of the dollar, so it's, so then that, no, you're not really thinking about the market cap. That's why I think Bitcoin is eventually going to be kind of like that. It's almost like you're not going to even think about the price of Bitcoin when it's past $1 million. It's just what things are end up going to be priced in measures of Satoshis. And so that could be the case where it's like I gave an example of like people that are sitting on real estate and they missed out on Bitcoin and they're like, wow, I can. So I'm going to end up selling, one of my assets that is a physical asset to get more Bitcoin, because then you can do vice versa, and it's going to be this crazy means of value transfer for people who have massive amounts of Bitcoin, because it's going to be so rare, because it's scarce. The scarcity built into it. 21 million Bitcoin, and then it's not even like 21 million Bitcoin, because I have all the Bitcoin that's been lost. There's dead addresses. People have lost their seed phrases and they can't get it back, or they lose just everything. And so really, it's even more scarce than you think. And then you have people like Larry Fink with BlackRock that owns 2.3% of the supply by the means of the ETF. When we break down the ETF data, it's pretty substantial how much has been flowing in, and especially from BlackRock with the means of IBIT, their ticker for the ETF spot. It's tons. I mean, at some points it gets almost close to $1 trillion in a single day. And so then I start to think about Ethereum. So when I start to think about the ETF, the next flow of money, liquidity, they're starting to buy up this ETF now. And I think that's why ETH is starting to do well. It's breaking, I think, this previous resistance. I think we're creating now a really good bullish divergence, and we're going to hit the target of where we think we called before, which is up here, about $4,300 in here in the short term. We're going to get a nice little pump. If you guys remember, it looks like we're getting a setup of what happened in March, early this year, March and May. So we could get just a nice 8-10% move to the upside with ETH, and it's going to set off the altcoins. And so we want to look at the altcoins too, see what's happening here. I know recently on the daily we had these two tokens, Hyperliquid. Hype was doing really well, and then I've seen in this virtual 32% virtuals protocol. I don't know much. I don't know anything about this coin. I'm just pointing out the fact that it is the one that has performed the best on the daily in the top 100. We have the BitGet token, up 12%, and then we have Ruin up 8.5%. If you're a fan of Thorchain, good for you. And then XRP is rolling out their stable coin, which is their RLUSD. I think. Is it the 20th? Are they rolling it out this month? I think I got to check the announcement, because they're rolling out a stable coin. So if you didn't know, a lot of why I think XRP has been pumping is for the fact that they have been talking about this stable coin, and a lot of people are also, and the XRP has been really hot in terms of like social media. There's a lot of people, normies, talking about XRP, thinking like, is XRP going to go to $10? Is it going to go to $20? I think XRP definitely is going to go up. I mean, it has been doing really well. I think if this stable coin is it's successful and it's able to really add some liquidity into the market cap, as you think about Ethereum, and and also you think about Solana, BNB, very close market cap. BNB is basically just a copy of Ethereum. Solana's, I think, different in terms of programming and kind of what it does in difference to BNB and Ethereum. If you've used BNB, it's exactly the same as Ethereum. Solana has a feel of Ethereum in these, but it feels different. I'm sure you guys have experienced this too, where you're like, okay, yeah, it's you know, it's similar, but it's different. But then BNB is kind of just like a copy of Ethereum. You think about the market caps and okay, what these institutions and kind of where the money's going to go. XRP is already kind of, I can give it to them that they've made a lot of partnerships and solidifying themselves to be kind of the runner, like the pick for the banking systems for a ledger. And so it would make sense. Okay, so if you wanted to be like a hedge bet and say, I know that XRP is not, quote, like it gets a bad rap, like it's just a banker coin. They'll dump it whenever it gets to high valued, which all of that could be true. But is it more of a long-term play? Like it might, instead of thinking about it like, okay, I'm just going to trade these, you know, short-term fluctuations, but like think like 10 years down the line. Is it like that type of play? Because then $2.57 is extremely cheap, because then you're thinking 5-10 year hold. You're thinking like, okay, this is like my boomer hold. I'm going to hold this thing for the long run, just kind of like Bitcoin. And you can treat it like that. And then you can just and Headband said, I exchanged my fiat for crypto and will never cash out. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a lot of people are starting to think that way, Headband. A lot of people are starting to think, why would I want to like even risk going back into fiat? Because if you keep your money in crypto, there's all types of things that you can do with a little bit of risk. I'm not going to say it's completely risk off if you're just have like all of your money in crypto, even in stable coins. I mean, the stable coin market is getting better, but there's still risks. Like you might want to have still a little bit of cash, because obviously you have to pay bills. You know, not everything is being accepted in crypto yet. It's getting there. It's still very, very early phases. So I know I can't be naive and say, hey, I want to be all in crypto. Like eventually, like I've done it already. I've made profits. I've had to convert it, and I've had to pay shit just to, you know, like as just like full transparency. And then I try to keep as much money in crypto as possible. And I definitely have way more in crypto than I do in said, USD. But it's just kind of the nature. We're still like we're in this flux zone where the traditional TradFi system is evolving and trying to like get with what has been happening in terms of Web3 and all of the digital ledgers and all of the different things. I mean, there's so much that's happening that it's going to take some time, but as we know, things, when it needs to be sped up, they will be sped up. It's just like how social media, how the internet, how us like interacting with content online accelerated kind of quickly from like one point to the next, because it was pretty solid and the same for a bit, and then all of a sudden it was like zoom, and it just started flying. And that's kind of how crypto is now. It's like now we're to a point where we're at like we're going to be at the capacitor zone where it goes whoosh, and it starts going. And that's when the FOMO starts, and that's when the money starts coming in, and that's when people realize, whoa, this is the settlement layer of the internet of everything. Pick your niche, NASDAQ trading, art, settlements with contracts, deals made with real estate, nodes operating for make sure that whenever someone arrives on the site, it operates, it just triggers a node or a smart contract, like smart contracts linked with off-chain data and certain things, and then that syncs up. I mean, that is what crypto is, and then you just got to pick which one is going to have the most money going into it, and hopefully you're buying it early before everyone starts to run into it. And that you don't need much technical analysis or to be like an expert at crypto. It's just, can you get enough money into the thing that the people are going to throw cash at? Like, that's just, it doesn't have to be that damn, you know, I mean, and Headband, I'll give him 100% credit for, say, hey, you know, he's been tipped up on knowing that, okay, people are going to just be chucking money at these AI, you know, these AI projects. And if one is being promoted by said Solana, then something like Griffin, that Griffin AI went from you know, obviously went from, you know, zero, but from whenever it was in people's radar, 20 million market cap, and now it's at a, you know, 230. 3 million? Was that what? Geez. That makes me feel even worse. Or that makes me feel even more, just, yeah. It's okay, but you can't catch them all. You can't buy them all. Because that's like, there's so many things. There's so many things going on. But I will say, if you're new in crypto, just kind of start with Bitcoin. Get Bitcoin in different places. That's where I think it's a great place to learn, is like, okay, download a couple of wallets, download a centralized exchange, download all the things, buy some Bitcoin on each one, learn how each platform operates, and see your address, store your seed phrase safely, so you know, like have a process set to how you want to do that, and then interact with the network and send someone BTC, you know, like you can, or send between your addresses, so then you get used to it. So then when you do have a lot of Bitcoin, or you have a lot of a certain amount of crypto, you don't make a mistake, or you don't, like, because this happens. Like, people have been lucky and have been able to make a lot of money in crypto. Yeah, send me your BTC. Yeah, just send me your BTC as a test transaction. You send me 1 ETH and I will send you 2 back. But no, like, it's just easy to make a mistake. Like, there's people that have sent a transaction of thousands of dollars and they didn't do a test one, and they messed it up and they couldn't get it back. You know, it happens to the best of them. But yeah, I would say, if you're new in crypto, just do that. Do it with ETH. Know that there's more than just one network on ETH. Like, you can use all the different layer 2 networks. There's Optimism, Arbitrum, Base, Polygon. I mean, you could. There's a bunch of them. Am I missing some? There's a few. But yeah, just learn all that. Pay the fee when you set up a wallet on XRP. Give them $20 so you can test out XRP. Test out Solana. You might have the most fun testing out Solana. See, I'll give it that. So with Solana, it's actually the most fun to test out. All right. So since I know you guys have already, like, you've seen the charts like a million times today, but we're going to give it to you now. So, all right. So we're going to get into the Bitcoin analysis. We want to just have some fun. We want to just kind of break down a little bit in our style what we think is happening here, and why you should just be testing out crypto, be in crypto. But look at this. So, like we were saying, the same pattern is playing out. So if you watched the live stream yesterday, we were looking at the charts and we said, this looks good. It looks like basically the same pattern, you know, like it was basically did a similar move. And this is, I think this is where the target is at 111,000, 112,000, 113 if it's matching up on this trend line. And it's really cool that it actually was more of a positive reinforcement, the full moon. You know, when we've had full moons, it has actually historically been a good thing. Makes people make irrational decisions, but to the upside. So that's good. We can kind of go back and see when we've had these full moons where we've actually, we've went to the upside. Good 14%, an average of 14 to 13% on full moon movements. As you can see from here, 13% average full moon movement. And did we go from a average full moon movement of 13%? We haven't, but we're going to, because that's what is in the moon phase. If you do the moon charting, it actually kind of works. It's really cool. And the RSI or the SMI actually has a nice bullish divergence. And the MACD is actually looking good. We're getting more green on the histogram, and we had a nice flip of the moving averages here. So you can see when the orange line flips the blue, and it's matched with some selling pressure with the histogram being red, that can signify some bearishness. And so it's right there. You can see on where my cursor is, that kind of signified a bearish downturn. Then a little bit of it kind of went sideways a little bit, but then that's what established the head in the inverse head and shoulders pattern here. And so now, with us flipping those moving averages and the blue line crossing the orange, and we have a little bit more and less selling pressure, matched with energetic phase of the moon, where we've had a 13% move on the upside, then we can speculate that through the week, and with the help of Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin every Monday, billions of dollars worth, that will be at 112,000 per Bitcoin, which is going to be great. It's going to send the market flying. All right, so let's get into a little bit of the altcoins. So the altcoins that I am currently watching right now is XYO. The co-founder has been alluding to a lot of really cool partnerships with Tesla's Cybertruck as a node operator. So whenever you're driving your Cybertruck around, you can be operating an XYO node and be collecting XYO while you're driving, and to boot, be not driving at all. So it's almost like you could just be sitting back and letting your Cybertruck drive for you, and it's collecting XYO while you're doing it. So I kind of want to live in that future, and I'm going to make that a reality. So at some point, you guys see me in a Cybertruck, just know that it's operating an XYO node, and we're trying to manifest that in our in our reality. But it's super cool, and it's making us want to buy more XYO and just not miss the opportunity to actually have this coin go back to its all-time high, which is at 8 cents, and surpass it, which would still be a great return at 225% move to the upside. But I think this thing is massively undervalued in terms of what it has as the technology and what it can do. And it's just like the ecosystem's cool. It actually has a lot going for it, and I'm surprised that it hasn't just added like a massive amount of market cap compared to what's out there right now that doesn't do anything, which shows kind of another counter narrative that you could be trading on, is that like, yeah, I'm going to buy the most ridiculous thing because that seems to be what people want to put their money into, instead of fundamental, tech tokens and things that actually do stuff. It is what it is. That this is the state of crypto. Sometimes you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. You just have to know where the money's going. And it could be going to the dumbest thing in the entire world. You guys know this. You know this to be true. All right, XRP uses 1 XRP as a reserve requirement. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I think they lowered it. Yeah. Yeah, from what I remember, it was like $15. It was like $10 or $15 worth. But all right, so we're going to check on the ETH trade. Okay, we're back. Okay, cool. We're back in profit. We were kind of scalping profits off of this one. Like we took 245 realized profits and put it back into the trade. We just kept scalping and then re-entering. And so what we did is we're just re-hedging back into the trade to get more ETH. You know, our target, like we said, is, you know, in the short term, 4,300. We'll scalp more once we get up to that point. We'll let some consolidation happen, if any. And once we get to that point, you know, we'll re-enter back in with some margin. And our goal is to basically end up with an entire ETH at the end of this run, or maybe even more, to where we have about 1 to 2 ETH coming off of this trade. And I love doing this because it's a nice experiment to see how you can use an inverse perpetual, which is using the coin as collateral, which you can use Ethereum or Bitcoin to do so. And it's really it's a really good way, especially in the bull market and especially during momentum waves for these coins. And also, if you have been listening about what I've been saying about Ethereum and how the institutions are going to pick this thing up and they're going to use it for their software, it's going to be a massive influx of market cap going into Ethereum. So it's going to be like a $10,000 to $15,000 per coin market cap of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's going to be like 7 trillion, and then ETH is going to be basically at a 1 trillion to almost 2 trillion, probably on its own. So I'm betting hard on Ethereum, and it's going to be a cool way to just get more of that. If you have an opportunity to do so, I'm not going to suggest it, but I would say test it and see what you can do with that. All right, so Bitcoin is now sitting at 107,000. Woo! Let's go. So is that a new all-time high? Yeah, we just made a new all-time high, guys. I feel like people are just like, I know yesterday we had like 50 or 60 people watching, but now we only have 10 people watching. I bet I know what's going on here. I know who the culprits are. Let me see. I know exactly who the culprits are. I bet if Jason Casper is streaming, or the Moon Show. Oh, and Trump. Okay, yeah, and Trump, Right Side Broadcasting. He's doing a speech right now. All right, let's do this right now. This is why Bitcoin's pumping. Hold on. We got to put the speech on.
25 years ago, it's like not even believable. So we're going to have reports. No, nothing's going to happen very quickly. I think you're going to find that Bobby he's a very rational guy. I found him to be very rational. No, nothing, you're not going to lose the polio vaccine. That's not going to happen. I saw what happened with the polio. I have friends that were very much affected by that. I have friends from many years ago, and they have, obviously, they're still in not such good shape because of it. You know, and many people died. And the moment they took that vaccine, it ended. Dr. Jonas Salk did a great job. So I don't anticipate that at all. But we're going to look into finding why is the autism rate so much higher than it was 20, 25, 30 years ago. I mean, it's 100 times higher. There's something wrong, and we're going to try finding that. We're also going to find out why are we paying more than other countries. And we were in the process of doing that through transparency and other things. We were doing a good job in that first term, and we brought it down. We got the $35, all of the different things we got. You know, we were the ones that got all of that done. Every one of those things, we got them done. I said, you know, I hope I win, because otherwise somebody's going to take a lot of credit for what we did. But now what happens is we're gonna have a big conversation on price. Why is it that Germany and UK and other countries are paying so much more for the same box of medicine made in the same plant? Why is it that we're paying many times more? And I know the answer, because Our government didn't do what they were supposed to do. And what I put in place was terminated unexpectedly by the Biden administration, and they shouldn't have terminated it. It would have had a huge impact. Okay?
And Mr. President, one other question. On Ukraine, you mentioned that some of the areas are already decimated. Do you believe that Ukraine should cede territory to Russia?
Well, I'm going to let you know that after I have my first meeting. But a lot of that territory, when you look at what's happened to those, I mean, there are cities that there's not a building standing. It's a demolition site. There's not a building standing. So people can't go back to those cities. There's nothing there. It's just rubble. Just like when I knocked down a building in Manhattan, which is actually, this is worse, actually, because we do it step by step. This thing is just got demolished. And by the way, in those buildings are many people. Many people were in those buildings. You know, when they say the number in Ukraine is going to be a much higher number of death, is going to be a much higher number than you're hearing. You know, they're big buildings. That's what I did very well. And these are very long buildings. They're 15 to 20 stories high. They're massive buildings. I was surprised at how big. And they're flattened like a pancake. 1 or 2 bombs hit them and they just collapsed. And they'd say, nobody was hurt. Well, nobody knows who was in those buildings. There were a lot of people in those buildings. They're going to find that when they start doing the removal. Many more people are being killed in the Ukraine war with Russia than is being reported, and that includes soldiers. The soldiers are being, it's a carnage that we haven't seen since the Second World War. It's got to be stopped. And I'm doing my best to stop it. Yeah, please, go ahead.
You had a meeting with Abe yesterday, but
Mrs. Abe.
Mrs. Abe, and Japanese Prime Minister Ishida is hoping to have a meeting anytime soon.
I will do that. In fact, I sent him a memento. I sent him a book, the Prime Minister. But Mrs. Abe was very close with our First Lady, with Melania, and she loved Melania's book. And
I know all the crypto people are waiting for him to talk about, or the press to ask him about the strategic reserve. That's what everyone is waiting for. We'll watch this whole thing just to wait and see if he's going to get asked about the strategic Bitcoin reserve. But yeah, so this is interesting, you know. So we'll switch gears because this is what's on everyone's radar is that, you know, Bitcoin as a reserve currency and what that means and how it can actually happen. So Bitcoin could theoretically shape the global world order by becoming the de facto reserve currency for the world, if people want to take part into it. And so because it's all just peer-to-peer, right? So it's basically whoever's going to buy it is participating in it. It's just like any currency. It's anything that we give value. So in an era marked by global economic volatility and political uncertainty, the concept of a new world order is increasingly gaining traction. Now questions loom on how this new world order will take shape. You know, this new world order. So interesting. But see, this is why I think Bitcoin is important, but also I think crypto as a industry and what smart contracts do and what crypto like is as a whole with Ethereum and everything else, that needs to exist, because then it is ultimately a constant evolving experiment that we learn what works and what doesn't, and hopefully we can have a better world because of it, and there isn't going to be too much manipulation and all kinds of malarkey. But I don't like hearing the new world order type of crap. But let's see. So a decentralized reserve currency. So the days of Bitcoin being declared dead are officially gone, and with former presidents advocating for national Bitcoin reserves, the digital asset is entering a new stage of adoption. And so at recent Bitcoin conference, obviously in Nashville, we saw President Trump promising to maintain a strategic national Bitcoin reserve. And so now with him, becoming president and being inaugurated on January 20th, we're going to see, and also noting that if we don't do it, China will do it. And so we're seeing Japan, like we just referenced earlier in today's show, that we have Japan pushing for a strategic reserve. We have Russia pushing for a strategic reserve. I think Brazil, and I think we already had El Salvador is doing it, in Argentina, and they've already kind of been the pioneers and leading the way of it being a nationally accepted currency and giving all of the citizens a Bitcoin wallet with $50 of Bitcoin to be able to spend or do what they please. And so this is it. It's all kind of coming down the pipe here. So the U.S. is not the only country considering this move, with a number of others having already implemented these policies, notably, obviously, like we just mentioned, El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as the currency. And then, so the next and last global currency could be Bitcoin. One of the primary advantages of Bitcoin as a reserve currency is its scarcity, like we've been talking about, with a fixed supply capped at 21 million coins. And then we mentioned about how it's not 21 million anymore because a lot of those coins have been lost. The value of Bitcoin is not subject to inflationary pressures, which could erode the purchasing power of traditional currencies. This inherent value stability is appealing to nations seeking a reliable store of value and wealth and medium of exchange. And so Bitcoin's decentralized nature also eliminates the need for intermediaries like central banks or governments, rendering it less susceptible to political manipulation. And so, what we could be seeing here is that through Bitcoin, it could actually heal some of these areas that have been economically they just haven't been able to keep up. They've either had, intermediaries like they talk about in these third parties that are the reason why they haven't been able to, companies haven't been able to make as much money, or there's just corruption in some of these countries where some of the currency is just being inflated, or there's these back-end deals, and Bitcoin, if it's used properly, and if it's used in the right means, could actually heal an area or heal a country. And I think America might be a perfect prime example of when we implement the strategic reserve and we heal the debt and we get rid of the national debt. Imagine the United States paying the debt by the means of Bitcoin and seeing just this economic boom in America. And then we could see how all of the efforts that we've put in can start to ripple out into other countries that could adopt even just a portion of what we're doing. And my hope is that it could ripple out a healing effect of giving people an opportunity to have hard money to be able to use for whatever they need. So I don't know. Well, so because of the nature of the dollar being pegged by other currencies, the dollar is always in a connection with the yuan. It's pegged. The currencies are connected together, and then we've had all these deals with other countries where we've amassed our own debt. So our country and the United States as a government, because the Federal Reserve isn't part of the United States government, it's a separate federally non-federal. It says federal, but it's not actually federal. It's a registered entity outside of the United States. So through treasury bonds and the government saying, okay, we have these banks in these states, they want to get the currency that the people are saying and what the government is saying we want to use as the currency, quote, the US dollar. And so then the federal government goes, okay, we're going to issue a treasury blah, 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 and then we're going to print all this money, and then we're going to issue that money to you, and then you're going to lend it out to people at an interest, but you're also going to pay us interest. And then everyone has the debt all connected to them, and then there's this web of debt all through just them printing pieces of paper. But then also the country, we're doing that with the other countries on a macro scale. So we're just paying, we're paying interest on money that is printed, that is just connected to nothing. You could argue the only thing that it's connected to is the military industrial complex, which is what they use as the means to be able to do all of the crazy government experimentations and freaking projects and all kinds of crap. But anyways, let's get down into the daily degen. And let's see what's kind of popping off here. You know, we already showed you guys earlier in the stream the crypto bubbles with Hype and Virtual. Ondo also doing well, Aave. And that's kind of the altcoins that have been performing well. We wanted to also point out, yes, gold is breaking down. Looks like if it is, going to mimic this pattern, we'll see gold breaking down actually to 2,500 an ounce. And we see that we've actually having a breakdown of the dollar as well. We could see basically it getting down into a point of going back into 104, which makes sense because Bitcoin right now is pumping. It's looking really good. And we want to show you that, yes, there are some gaps. So there's a gap at 103 on the CME, but I mean, it doesn't have to fill. We could still keep crushing up momentum, and I think we're probably going to eye more of an upside price point, breaking another new all-time high at 111,000. So it's looking really good. It's actually looking really good. So the trades are looking good. Gonna get printing a little bit more ETH, getting more ETH on the trade, and then we'll show you guys the COINFLARE trade. We still have the Bitcoin trade open, of course. We've already scalped realized profits 1,300, and then we have now getting up close to another 1,000. We're at 500. We're halfway there. And we have the Pepe trade open. We have the Doge trade, and we're going to scale up these trades as much as we can once we feel confident that we are going to indeed keep running. But we've been talking about this for months that the biggest returns we're actually going to see in next year, and we still believe that we're going to see, I think, really the biggest returns in maybe the last 3 months of the bull run, which I think is going to be around March, April. March and April is going to be where it's going to be really kind of popping off. Could, consolidate from there. And then we end up going to like $350,000, $400,000 by August and September. Because if you count the days of a peak of a bull run from a halving year, it's an average of 500 days. And that brings us from that halving point of April this year to about August. So if you're looking at some type of area that we're like, okay, I want to start scaling out of positions, readjusting the portfolio, going into maybe possibly stable coins, and just making sure you're actually taking some profits, those points of the time next year, March, April, and then August. Because that August is the peak, but then we're still about 400 days so when we're in March and April. Because I think that's when we're going to see some really interesting points. Because especially after the fact of a strategic reserve being announced for multiple countries, we know billions of dollars is coming in. So that's how the price could be skyrocketing to those levels very fast, very quickly. And then that's how we get the levels that we've been talking about. And it could line up really well if we're looking at the Bitstamp chart. The Bitstamp chart that we made looking at the monthly. Lines up perfect with us getting about right here at the peak. Going into October, I think October, maybe going towards the end of, really close to the end of next year, we could be sitting at over $500,000 per Bitcoin if the stock to flow model really starts to play out, and on the, Bitcoin rainbow chart curve, and what we like to do on this chart is show you guys that this is why we think Bitcoin could go so high this time is from what happened before. That's the first big one. That was after that first halving event. So that was a big event. Second halving, third halving, we got chopped at the knees on that one. But then this is where I think we're going to, but I'd pull it down a little bit. It's from the halving point, right on April. And I like this area. This little pocket area looks good. Right there. And see look how much it can get up into the overbought area, and we're right here, so we still could get up to here, which is going to lead us in this like $350,000 range. It's gonna be sweet. I'm ready for it. I know you guys are. But I like looking at this. I like looking at this chart. It's a fun chart to look at. It makes me think way more out long term. And this is about to hit the targets, guys. ETH is about to start flying. Oh, really? Of course it did. With a name like that, I mean, how could it not? All right, guys. Look, ETH is breaking out. Let's go. ETH is looking sweet. If you guys could do me a favor, if you could just destroy the like button. Jay Flores said Vera token, Coinbase is also good. SPA token. Shadow token. Oh yeah. I was looking at Shadow token because I know it was like a launch pad on Jupiter, and then also Zeus. Zeus I was checking out, and then Marty Party that I follow on X has been talking about Zeus, because basically what Zeus is they're providing Bitcoin on chain to Solana, so then you can hold your Bitcoin and you can do certain things DeFi with your Bitcoin through Zeus. But there's a Zeus token. And so, yeah, let me see. Let's pull up Zeus, because Zeus Network. Still pretty low market cap. I mean, 138 mil. Yeah, Zeus Network serves as a cross-chain communication layer implemented on SVM. The first mission of Zeus Network is to introduce Bitcoin liquidity to Solana through the first dApp Apollo. So that's pretty cool. So I'm telling you guys, like, I actually have someone that I met, super cool guy at the Bitcoin conference in Abu Dhabi, and I've been having him on the channel, and we're going to get into all kinds of things that has to do with Bitcoin liquidity and some really, really cool up and coming things that are going to just like shape the whole, shake the whole landscape of Bitcoin and what you're going to be able to do. It's really, really cool. But yeah, I love stuff like this. It seems like a big theme is this like layering and being able to connect omni-chain stuff and Bitcoin liquidity, accessing that liquidity, and being able to put it into other chains to then do whatever. The sky's the limit. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, right now, you can trade this like on, the centralized exchanges like Radium, or you can on Orca as well, Meteora, and then centralized exchanges. Let's see, he's got the most volume. All right, Gate.io, OKX, Kraken. Let's see if it's listed on any. Oh, no. Oh, okay, nice. It's on OURBIT. Sweet. And let's see what else. All right, so far, I mean, it's on some good exchanges. Like that's on OURBIT. The volume not too bad. Okay. Cool. Yeah, let's check out Zeus on TradingView. And we'll look at it on this without the moon phases. And we'll put the Bollinger Bands on. And we'll do the hourly. So the hourly chart actually looks good. Hourly chart looks good. It's already had a nice bounce off of some support right here. Established support. It's, we're creating a descending wedge. Could break here and then go, or it could stop and then go. Could be a stop and go. The MACD looks really good. Last level of all-time high was $1.15. We got almost pushed $1, but we got rejected. So we could just be working up to test it again. So that looks, yeah, this doesn't look too bad. Does not look too bad. All right, yeah, Bitcoin's pumping right now, guys. Bitcoin is pumping very nice. All right, so I think what's happening is that we're seeing all the money going into Bitcoin right now. Everything is attention's on Bitcoin, but then everyone's going to realize, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be buying alts. What's happening right now? I need to FOMO into the altcoins because we're going to get a major altcoin season. So hopefully you have some trades open because you can really do some damage. You really can. It's not looking too bad. All right, guys, we appreciate you coming in today's live stream. I think Trump is stealing the airwaves. Trump is stealing the airwaves, and everyone was probably trying to stream all at the same time to try and catch all of the action. So yeah, it was tough. It was tough today. Yesterday we had a good stream. We had a lot of people in, but just is what it is. Sometimes it is what it is. But we'll see you guys later. We'll see you guys later today on the second live stream. We really do appreciate you coming in, and make sure you guys are hitting the like button on the way out, and check out the links in the description, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.